If a blockchain has launched at the peak of the bull market, in my opinion, it really damages their chances of being successful.
Yep.
Sort of like in the medium to long term. Why? Because a lot of the initial investors were bought at the top, as well as just the users at that hype of the bull market. The users you're bringing into your chain, they're not really ever going to stick around.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. We have Matt and Nick from Collective Shift. How we doing, boys?
Doing well, thanks. Pleasure to be here.
Perfect to be here and pumping day two.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Ben, your fearless leader, on before, telling us a little bit about trends he's seeing with the business and with the market. But you guys are the analysts at the end of the day. He's the face of the brand. You guys are the analysts. I'm keen to pick your brains when it comes to trends in the market, what you guys are seeing, because you guys have a good eye for this stuff. I love your content. I guess we'll start off with a bit of a broad question. Like, what do you think will be a major trend in the 2024 market? I'm not going to call it a bull market. There's speculation that it will be a bull market, but what are you guys seeing?
Yeah, very, very sensible. But yes. Biggest trend that I'm looking for is it's a modular blockchain. So I don't know, it can be confusing, but I'll explain why it's important. There's really, just to put it simply, there's a bunch of blockchains that are starting to go live on mainnet that they're really just stripped back, trying to do everything to simplify it. There's the likes of Celestia as a name. Some of you would have already seen, launched a token recently. Yep. And it's just a blockchain that's trying to just do one thing really well, data availability. And next year, that will be a really strong trend, in my opinion, with Eigenlayers launching their EigenDA. And then Avail, which used to be part of Polygon, they're launching their Avail, data availability chain. So that's something that I'm definitely looking for next year, because we're actually going to start to see, are there blockchains that are, leveraging these DA layers? And is the result of that actually, a substantial increase of what a blockchain can do and how performant it can be?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really good one there. Probably I might take the lead and say the Ethereum upgrade, just because it allows Ethereum solutions that are built on top of it to become much cheaper to use.
Yep.
So we saw in the last cycle, these solutions weren't ready, they were too costly to use, and it resulted in a lot of usage drifting to Solana and to these other blockchains. They're really looking forward to seeing if the fees reduce on these layers, they become more secure, and whether we're going to see a lot more users start to flow back. Big trend to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, Matt, I'm glad you mentioned Celestia, because obviously it had its highly anticipated launch a couple of weeks ago. I know you guys covered that pretty in depth. I want to kind of ask, we've seen a lot of big launches this year, the likes of Celestia, the likes of Sui, Aptos, what else we got here? WorldCoin, even Say. I'm just wondering, do you guys think that because they've launched in the bear market and because they're entering their first market, they have that advantage of the accumulation phase over, say coins that are, in their second cycle? Yeah,
definitely. This is something I've thought about a bit as well, in terms of, there's a unspoken sort of thing that took me a while to realize, as even just as an investor in crypto, or just acknowledging the strength of a community. So if a blockchain has launched at the peak of the bull market, it just has, in my opinion, it really damages their chances of being successful.
Yep.
Sort of in the medium to long term. Why? Because a lot of the initial investors were bought at the top, as well as just the users at that hype of the bull market. The users you're bringing into your chain, they're not really ever going to stick around. So launching in the bear, I think it's great, because all of the rest of the market is at bear market prices.
Yep.
And it's also great because people who are joining that ecosystem very early are people who are generally interested in Web3 or using crypto protocols. So that's something that I would say is a tailwind for those ones that you mentioned, but definitely emphasizing it's not the be all and end all. Yep. It's just one nice tailwind to have.
And outside of Celestia, which we just talked about before, is there any other, projects or, cryptocurrencies in particular that you guys are in a position to really disrupt the industry? Not just, have a great bull market or whatever, but seriously change certain industries, certain sectors, not just crypto, but the public sector, the private sector, anything like that?
Yeah, well, probably the Ethereum L2 landscape is one that I look for, just because we're seeing a lot of blockchains enter. And if we look at coin market cap, we can see that there's actually, 40 to 50 different layer 1 blockchains out there. So it's asking this question, like, how many blockchains are enough? And I'm just seeing a lot of these potentially that could disrupt these other L1 blockchains that, got going in the 2017 market, even some that launched in 2020, 2021.
Yep.
I always like to reflect on looking back on the coin market cap, and you just look how much things have changed and how many things have been disrupted. So always go to coin market cap, have a look at what the past used to look like.
Yep.
And then have a look at whether these new networks actually can accrue value. That's just going to be the number one, I think, topic on everyone's lips as we move in the next couple of years.
Yep. Cool. And who do you think's been the most impressive in the bear market?
Most impressive.
Yeah, who do you think's been the most impressive in the bear market? Project.
I guess Solana is probably the one that
Absolutely.
that has been the one to capture everyone, and I think it's for a lot of decent reasons and actually tangible reasons aside from hype.
Yep.
And it should only continue, I think, because they're forming partnerships with actual payment companies like Visa, to try that settlement on the network. So these are probably the first early signals of legitimate usage from people outside of cryptocurrency.
Yep.
And they're actually building core infrastructure to try and scale.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to release a major upgrade next year to try and, make Solana more performant. So this is just something that I think is actually legitimate.
Yep.
And, really keen to see what they have to come in next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Solana's been one of those ones where people wrote it off, didn't they? People wrote it off, after the whole FTX thing. But look, they continue to build and innovate and land some of those major partnerships that you mentioned. So and now it's paid off. So I think they're in a good position heading into the next cycle. Not financial advice, of course, but on the Tapping into Crypto, we like to talk about Solana a little bit. So shout out. But listen, lads, thanks so much for joining us on the couch. I really appreciate your insights, and enjoy the rest of the convention.
Thanks, mate. Love being here.
Pleasure. Thanks, Ted.
See ya.